Hi folks, I'm Spencer and I humbly welcome you to the Cult Mania Award Ceremony 2021. I really ought to have come up with some sort of like, these are the culties or something, but nah. So, well actually by the time this goes up we've gone completely past the end of 2021, we're into 2022. Now I thought let's do a look back on the films that were really good that came out in 2021. This was harder this year than when I did the 2020 awards, mainly because more films came out. We still have quite a few films that got pushed back. There are still quite a few films from this year that I really wanted to see and haven't got round to because they didn't get shown in local cinemas because either the cinemas were shut or it was in like mad pandemic time and I thought I'm not going to sit in a room full of people, and just because I'm lazy. So obviously there will be things missing. I live in the UK, so I'm going by UK release dates. So if anything came out in 2020 in the States and we didn't get it till this year, it's eligible on this year. Which also can throw a spanner in the works, but sod it. It'll be fine. So let's get on with some awards. So, I'm starting off with best re-releases, best packaging, you know, nice collector's edition-y stuff. This is always a tricky one because, you know, we've got so many boutique cult movie label people now that the market is pretty flooded with stuff. And this is the only, well, I did it last year as multi-film re-release, like collections and single film. Single film I've sort of fudged this year because I've gone with Arrow's re-release of Battle Royale, which if you bought the Funky Edition did come with Battle Royale 2. But this is just, it's the best the film has looked ever. They've done so much with putting so many different editions in. Like I said, you get Battle Royale 2, which I know is a very divisive film, but it's been given absolutely wonderful treatment by Arrow, and I just think this is how you treat a cult classic with absolute... It's treated like it is a prestige picture. There are editions of films that were like Oscar nominated that have come out that are far worse than this. And I'm not. That is not in any way a comment on the, you know, on Battle Royale. Battle Royale is an absolutely fantastic film that deserves all of the plaudits it gets. But it's not the sort of thing that you expect to have such an absolutely just wall to wall, everything covered release like this. So, thank you, Arrow. And for our multi-film collection awards thing, I'm giving it to Criterion's The World of Wong Kar-wai box set, which I know is again a bit of a controversial release. A huge part of this is I've wanted to see Wong Kar-wai's films for so long, and being in the UK, it was just really difficult to get nice versions of them, and they're such attractive films to look at, in part because they have very attractive casts, but also because they're shot wonderfully. Just trying to, you know, having to watch like a really crummy DVD does not do them justice, which is why I was so happy to have them in HD. I wish this was 4K, although I would be bankrupt if that happened because Criterion don't know how to price things. But I mean, every single film in here is absolutely amazing. I know the regrades are, like I said, controversial. But as someone who's not really seen the original versions, it didn't bother me. I thought they looked amazing. I sort of prefer the wider screen shots of Fallen Angels because I think it makes that wide angle lens look even better. There's so many bonus features. Like I said, every film in here is wonderful. The packaging is insane and decadent and it's just brilliant. And I just... Yeah, I'm giving it as much because the films are just so good and have really changed how I look at film. And we really aren't getting in the UK enough Hong Kong cinema, and hopefully this sold well enough that we will start to get a lot more. Okay, so it's the Super Fun Award now, the what the fuck moment of the year. There were a lot this year. There were a lot I could have picked from, and I mean, there are great moments that I wish in any other year actually possibly could have, probably would have won. I mean, Ratma from VHS 94 was a fantastic thing and has taken the internet by complete storm. Even popular, more mainstream cinema has had moments like this, like anything to do with the baby in Annette, because I went into that film not knowing what on earth Annette looked like and how they'd realised the singing baby, and oh my god, it was an experience. And this is the most hotly contested, I think, award. And I'm going to show you both moments. The runner-up for this award comes from everyone's favourite, Nick Cage, and it's just him shouting the word "Testicle" in Prisoners of a Ghostland, because what were it's just amazing. But actually, the award I'm giving it to a film that, if I did an award for the Spencer Was Wrong About This Film award, it would win. Actually, let's give it an award now. It's Malignant, which I thought was going to be terrible and had no interest in seeing. Then everyone said it was great, and I went to see it and I was like, this film is absolutely brilliant. It's full of what the moments, and it's not the twist, because I don't want to give that away. No, it's the bit where they throw a chair across a room. Because that was freaking amazing. So, Malignant chair throw gets the what the fuck moment of the year. Another hotly contested category, the Best Soundtrack of the Year award. I spend so much time listening to soundtracks that this is always a difficult one, and this is one where probably, if you caught me in a different mood, this may well change. I'm going with this soundtrack because it's the one I've listened to most. I mean, it has been a fantastic year for soundtracks. I really liked, in a more mainstream sense, the Doom score, because it had bagpipes. We need more bagpipes in music. But, I mean, generally this has been dominated by horror. I really liked the Census score with its sort of ambience, synthesizer-iness. I really liked the new Halloween Kills score, because John's just on fire at the moment, and I like the sort of heavier, darker sound that they went with that. I really liked the new Candyman score, which was a contender, and if I really need to listen to it more. For managing to, I mean, Philip Glass's score for the original is quite a hard act to follow, and I think it's a better score for the new Candyman. But my winner has got to be Clint Mansell's score for In the Earth, because I love Clint's stuff. I think it's all brilliant, but seeing him go in a direction of much more synthesizers, sort of radiophonic workshop influences with sort of synthesized droning nature. The fact that it's just super cool because it's in part made by the electronic pulses of plants or something, which ties in so nicely with the film. It's just brilliant, and it's one of those soundtracks that is really great to listen to even if you've not seen the film. I think it just creates a fantastic world. I mean, the sound in the Earth is fantastic, and I think actually the fact that I was so, I mean, it helps. It was the first film I saw in a cinema in, like a year or whatever. But the soundtrack merged with the sound design in the film was so impressive that it just kind of has to be my soundtrack of the year. This is my personal award for just something that didn't necessarily come out this year, but I really liked, just so that I can spread the word about something that I haven't really discussed on the channel very much. This is a sort of three-way thing, and I'm going to throw a bit of a spanner in the works because I know I gave the One Car Wire release the award for best re-release, and that was very tempting to put as my discovery of the year, but I sort of knew that I was going to really like One Car Wire stuff because it just ticked all the boxes for my sort of thing. So I'm going a bit different. And the runner-up for this one is Cowboy Bebop, because I've never really got into anime. Akira is the only sort of full Japanese anime film I've really got into, and I really enjoyed watching the Cowboy Bebop anime. It was great. Still a bit annoyed that they cancelled the Netflix show because I think actually it wasn't terrible. Please don't hate me. And I think it could have been a lot better if there'd been a second series. But I digress. The winner of my discovery of the year is Genre Lin. And all the films that got put on the Arrow channel. For people who don't know, they're sort of 60s, 70s erotic, horror, vampire-y type films. And they're fantastic. I mean, they're not, they're terrible, but when I started watching these Genre Lin films, I had the thing that I think other people have with Jess Franco films, in that I was like, I can tell that this isn't great, but it's just fully engrossed me. And I love that, like, all the titles for the films are complete lies. They don't reflect what happens in the film at all. You can tell that they were probably made with no script. I think it was Sex of the Vampire opened, and it just had like people in silly hoods, silly costumes, boobs, vampires, people in animal masks, a jazzy, weird soundtrack, and I was like, yes, this is just everything I love about crummy, crappy films. And it brought me a lot of joy at a point in which I wasn't feeling too good. So they cheered me up quite a lot. Okay, we are going into best performance of the year. I'm not going to beat around the bush with this one because there was only one. I'm not knocking any other performance that came out this year, but I knew from the second I started this one that this was almost certainly going to win. It's Nick Cage as Rob in Pig, because we all know what we expect from thespian Nick Cage. We are expecting over the top, big drama, a really weird performance. You know, he's cultivated a complete cult around his performance style. And I think Pig is just this fantastic. It's a reminder of why, you know, he was Oscar nominated, why he's been able to have this massively long career, because it's just a fantastic performance that, apart from like one moment, completely is not a Nick Cage performance. It's sad and quiet and beautiful, and he manages. There are moments in the script for Pig that are really weird, and it goes into strange directions that you what? And it's the fact that actually Nick Cage manages to ground everything, whereas usually he's the one elevated. And I think it is a performance in which you are seeing someone playing completely against type that just works, and you fully believe, because the film is crushingly sad in places, and it would be an unwatchable film if it weren't for Nick Cage's central performance, because it just wouldn't work. I mean, there's a lot made out of the restaurant scene where he just destroys this bloke psychologically through just quietness, and it's just fantastic. So yeah, Nick Cage. Okay, before we get into best of best, here is the best worst film of the year. There have been a few bad films this year, a few films that have been very disappointing, but I'm not doing a worst film because that's just mean. And actually, bad films that were really enjoyable, I've not seen quite as many as I think I would in other years. So this was actually one where I was struggling to come up with things. There were two standouts, one much lower budget and one more mainstream. The lower budget one was Willy's Wonderland, the Nick Cage Five Nights at Freddy's knockoff, because that film is really badly made, but I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, the colour grading is horrible, the script's rubbish, it doesn't make a fat lot of sense, the general acting isn't very good, but it's got Nick Cage punching animatronics, and I enjoyed that. But actually, the best worst film is the Mortal Kombat movie that came out this year, because by no stretch of the imagination is it a good film. It's full of, again, bad acting, costumes that look like they spent a lot of money on them to make them look a bit cheap, a script that is just full of people forcing, fatality, get over here, into the script, with like a new central character that was completely unnecessary. But I enjoyed the hell out of it. I mean, I wouldn't even say the fighting in it is particularly good, but it's got enough good gory moments and enough points that I was like, oh, that's a Mortal Kombat thing, that I really enjoyed it. And like I said, it probably should get points just for having the sort of sick remix version of the original Mortal Kombat movie theme. So that's the best worst film of the year. So, best TV show. This, for a long time, was going to be It's a Sin, which didn't feel like it suited the cult nature of the channel, but it's just one of the greatest pieces of TV I've ever seen. But right at the end of this year, Sky put on a little show called Landscapers, which I don't think has done the numbers that I think it should have. It's a true crime drama about a couple who killed their parents, and it is hilarious, crushingly sad, so inventively made that it just blew my mind, and I couldn't believe that I wasn't really talking to anyone about it. Olivia Colman and David Hewlett in it are really, really, really good, and it's just, it just works. It's one of those things that you just watch and just sit back and just enjoy, because it's got everything. So Landscapers is my TV show of the year. Now, mainstream movie of the year. Hotly contested between... I mean, there were some disappointments. If you'd have told me... When I was thinking last year, I thought Halloween Kills was going to win this award massively, because I count it as a mainstream film. It's got lots of money spent on it. And it was weirdly disappointing. I saw the new Matrix recently. That could have actually been my discovery of the year. I thought the Matrix was terrible until this year, but now I'm like, the Matrix is brilliant, and the Matrix Resurrections is really good. But the mainstream film of the year, for me, is Dune. Because it was the cinema experience that I had this year where I was just blown away. I spent most of the film needing a wee, but I just forgot about that because I was like, oh my god, this is so spectacular. I loved the visuals, I loved the sound design. I thought they'd done such a good job. I mean, I've never read the books, but I have seen the David Lynch film, and the David Lynch film is confusing. It's a really interesting failure, and I just thought they'd done such a good job of keeping so much stuff that it still felt densely sci-fi, but without being annoying. Denis Villeneuve did this really well with Blade Runner. I'm really excited to see Dune Part 2. I'm really glad that we are getting Part 2. I would have been devastated if Dune was unfinished. And it's what a blockbuster mainstream film should be. The action works, the spectacle works, the plot works, everything about it is just really, really, really well done. And so we come to Best Cult Film of the Year, which this was very, very, very hard. I'm actually going to do top 3 for this, and I'm also going to give an honourable mention to Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, which I only saw like a couple of days ago, and I thought it was absolutely amazing, and I want to mention it here because it's not been in my brain long enough for me to be able to put it really in contention with stuff that I'd seen over the last few months. But I just want to give it a shout out. It's a fantastic one-shot sci-fi comedy thing. It's hilarious. It's brilliant. It's so clever without being like, oh, I'm clever. It's like, it's just really good. And then, so the Bronze Award goes to Prana Bailey Bond's Censor, which has everything I love about cinema. I think she's going to be a fantastic British horror presence as a director. It has a fantastic central performance by Neil Olgar. It played into my love of video nasties. I thought aesthetically it was great. The ending has really stayed with me. It's just the vibe of that was fantastic. Number 2, the Silver Award runner-up is going to VHS 94, which just did everything I wanted it to. I've always loved the VHS franchise. This was the best one. There isn't a bad story among the bunch. There's such a great variety. And again, it's that thing of like, it's a lovely surprise. I didn't expect The Last Story Terror to be the best one. That's really stuck with me. I'm really glad that it's Shudder's biggest, most watched film. More VHS, please. And surprising absolutely no one, my cult film and film of the year is In the Earth by Ben Wheatley. Because I'm a massive Ben Wheatley fan, and I just think this is the best thing he's done in a long, long time. Easily up there with, it's fighting Kill List probably for the top spot in the Ben Wheatley Tower. Made in lockdown, have no idea how they managed to make something that looks this good, sounds this good. It has just everything going for it under those conditions. Wonderfully trippy visuals, great performances, funny, creepy, got good gore. Just a wonderful film and a brilliant encapsulation of all the stuff that sort of British cult cinema does really well. It sort of ticks all the boxes. It's got sci-fi elements, it's got sciencey elements, it's got folk horror, it's got the way people speak has still got that kitchen sinky feel. It's just, it's everything that makes British cinema brilliant. So there we go. Those are the films and other appendages bits that I thought were brilliant this year. Like I said, I know there are films that people really love that I've not got around to seeing. I really need to see like The Green Knight and The Night House, stuff like that. I'm just very excited to see what the new year brings. There's a lot of films that I'm looking forward to, and let me know what your best favourite films were. Heck, do all the categories if you want. I'll read them down in the comments. Like and subscribe so you don't miss any more videos. Have a great new year, and I shall see you next time.